My name is Emma Ollis, and today I will be discussing women's suffrage. My big research question was, what was the reaction of the United States when the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote, was ratified? I will be presenting the findings of several scholars since the passing of the amendment. In early American culture, women were deemed the weaker sex. People believed that they were unable to perform physical and mental tasks as successfully as men. Many believed that it was their biological role to be mothers and wives, and oftentimes were not formally educated, but educated on how to be the best mother and wives. Also at this time, women were owned by the man of the household, either their husband or their father, because they were not allowed to own land. Women really started to push for equal rights at the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention. At this convention, they discussed the 11 demands they had for equality. The only one not passed was the demand for the right to vote. In the piece of literature titled She the People, the 19th Amendment, Sex Equality, Federalism, and the Family, Reva Siegel outlines when suffrage began for women and reasons why many were against it. Siegel argues that the history of women's suffrage has been the history of women fighting for the freedom from subordination in and through the family. When the 14th Amendment granting African American males the right to vote was passed, it was seen as male suffrage. It was then that women really began to fight for their own right to vote. Those opposing the amendment said that it would ruin the family system and that it attacks God's commands and rejects the duties of motherhood. They believed that voting should be done by the property owners, which of course excluded the population of women. Jennifer Brown in the 19th Amendment and Women's Equality stated that this was the first time women succeeded in promoting equality. Feminists argued that the Declaration of Independence states that all men and women are created equally. Therefore, they believed that women winning the right to vote would be a symbol of equal rights for all citizens of the United States. In the case Minor versus Happersett, it was decided that the right to vote should come from the states and not from the national government. The court denied Virginia Minor the right to vote, but they also agreed that she is considered a citizen. It was due to this statement that women really began to fight for the right to vote. Even though the amendment had been passed, the fight for sexual equality has not been finished. And an example of this was in jury duty. Jury duty excluded women, and so people believed that because of this, it was unequal representation of America's society. In the article titled, Did Women's Suffrage Change the Size and Scope of Government?, John Lott and Lawrence Kenney found that government has grown significantly since the passing of the 19th Amendment. They stated that both state spending and revenue rose at large numbers right after the passing. Spending rose by 14% almost immediately after the ratification of the 19th Amendment. And 45 years after the amendment, revenue has rose by 27%. Lott and Kenney said that this occurred due to the more liberal votes coming from women, which then created a more liberal Congress that passed a larger federal budget. They also found that women's suffrage directly caused the passing of divorce and prohibition laws. Research done by Grant Miller argues that women's suffrage led to breakthroughs in biological revolution for children's health. In his essay, Women's Suffrage, Political Responsiveness and Children's Survival in American History, he mentions that passing the 19th Amendment caused an increase in public health spending by about 35%. This led to more biological discoveries and large-scale hygiene campaigns. This also caused new government policies. Many of the discoveries at this time were in household hygiene, like meat refrigeration and hand and food washing. The child mortality rates started decreasing in the years following suffrage due to many of the policies and campaigns created at this time. According to Allison Lange, there are many groups that oppose women's suffrage. The first and strongest one being the Massachusetts Association opposed to further extension for suffrage to women. They created many political cartoons and ran news articles outlining reasons why women should not be granted the right to vote, as well as getting religious leaders to speak on why granting the women the right to vote went against God's demands. The reasons included the fact that they lacked the mental capabilities and political expertise to offer influential opinions on political issues, as well as this would ruin American households, as women are supposed to be mothers and wives. In conclusion, women fought for years for the right to vote and for sex equality. Since the ratification of the 19th Amendment, the government has been influenced by the women's votes as well as the health and well-being of U.S. citizens. Although this was a victory, there were and still are walls to be broken in society for sex equality. Thank you.